talk show. This is what happens when I do this live. Everything and anything can happen. Well, as you can see today, we are doing the all women show. And March is International Women's Month Day, and we're celebrating women for the month of March. Well, actually, we celebrate women all the time. So we've decided to go ahead and have a show on the women, and we're going to be talking about a lot of different topics. We're going to be talking about women empowerment. We're going to be talking about your health. We're going to be talking about relationships, but we're going to be talking about a lot of things. So we're just going to jump in because we have doctors on our panel today. We have ministers on our panel today. We have retired military personnel on it. We have current military personnel, and we have ex-police officers. We have a combination. We have strong females on our panel today. So we're going to get started. So how is everybody doing?
Great.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Wonderful.
You guys don't sound excited. I know we started a little late because we were having some technical difficulties, but I wanted everyone on before we got started, because, so we can, get this moving. So the first topic we're going to talk about is going to be from Meaty. Meaty, you sent in a question that said, 1 year later, now what? So we're talking about the pandemic.
So, Jackie, thank you. And hi to my beautiful sisters that are on this evening. And thank you for yet again allowing Dr. K and I to be faces and voices on your show, because it is our point of view. And basically, I think it's really interesting because I know we all know about COVID, right? I don't think we need to talk about washing hands and and wearing your face masks and the vaccines. I think we know enough about that, but if there's any questions, feel free to ask and to share. And I've shared my story and my journey as it relates to my recovery from COVID. But I think it's important for us to now make a little pivot from what does that look like from as it relates to our other health issues that we are having. Have you gotten your mammogram if it was scheduled? Have you scheduled that colonoscopy? Have you gone to the dentist? Have you had your pap smear done, ladies, because it's now been a year if you haven't seen your OBGYN? If you're diabetic, have you seen your endocrinologist? And quite frankly, let's be honest with ourselves. How many pandemic pounds have you put on? And if you have done so, this is not a fat shame by any stretch of the imagination, but really understanding, particularly for us as Black women, I think it's imperative now more so than ever, if we're not aware of how our health is so important. I think we need to take a pause now because none of us have lived through this pandemic, a pandemic ever. And so what does it look like for you and your health a year later going into this? I live and reside in Washington, D.C. And on March 12th was the day that we had our shutdown. And I know Dr. K and I both are Howard grads. I still live in DC, and she used to live in DC, and she can tell you DC is very hustle bustle. It's the nation's capital. And so to be able to drive down K Street or Pennsylvania Avenue and see no cabs, to see none of the food carts, to see the people, if you see my virtual screen behind me, the National African American History Museum of Culture there, and there's no lines for people waiting to get into the museum. So I just think it's so important for us to kind of take a pause. And it's really more of an introspective question, Jackie, not necessarily something I have an answer to, but it's more so, what is your health like? What are you doing? What are you doing to preserve your health in addition to dealing with COVID, but all the other things that we should be managing and caring for?
Let me ask you a question, Dr. Shevers. You're a medical doctor, so how has it been with your patients coming in during the, like when the pandemic first started? Everybody was afraid to leave the house, afraid to go to the hospital. It's a year later now. Are your patients coming in now?
Yeah, they are, just coming back into the office. I'm an urgent care physician, so I've been seeing patients all along, but they're definitely coming back out in high numbers. I saw over 100 patients in the last 2 days, and a lot of them have had problems for months. And they're coming back in now to see, like, okay, what's wrong with my foot? What's wrong with my skin? What's wrong with this? Diabetes. They haven't had their annual physical. They haven't had their hemoglobin A1C done. They haven't had their thyroid check lately. So they're coming back in, trying to get back on the ball. Some people have lost insurance, and so they're self-pay. Some people have, trying to just kind of juggle things as they have been doing, but knowing that their health is important. So they're coming back in to try to catch up.
Okay. Okay. So, Dr. K.
Yes, so that's very good to hear. I would say that because being a public health practitioner, I'm an epidemiologist, and just looking at the vulnerable populations and health equity when it comes to this pandemic, where we were before and just where persons of color kind of fall on the scale. Now I am elated to hear that they are coming to be seen, because the question that I'm asking, so what did they do? Like, they just dealt with whatever the issues were without being seen. There's a lot of conversations that we need to have around just taking care of ourselves. Like, we need to get to a point where we are well. And I always tell people when they talk about COVID and fighting COVID, I was like, you have to be in the best health and the best shape of your life, so that if you are exposed, your body is in a place and a position to fight it. And to hear that they've been at home suffering this time, and just a year later now seeking medical attention, we still have a lot of work to do in our community, and that's for sure.
Okay. So does anyone else want to make a comment on that topic?
Just really quickly, Jackie, before we make a pivot, and I've been on, I think, 4 shows with you now, maybe 5. I think it's important for us to not forget our mental health, right? So
Right.
Dr. Daquisha is here, and as she just shared, I too am elated as a nurse, as a cardiac ICU nurse. I'm glad to know that people are coming back. And I'm just hoping that when they go and see her, that their disease process has not progressed to the point where they need significant intervention, versus what one of my dear friends, Dr. Robinson, has shared. Reggie Robinson, who's a cardiologist, calls it TLC, which is total lifestyle change. That's his prescription for, in addition to whatever medications he's giving, he also says, and here's your TLC do list, total lifestyle change. I think mental health still remains something that we need to continue to have a conversation about. Depression is real, anxiety is real, feeling dismayed, as Dr. K just alluded to, even about, what did they do during this time? Did they suffer? Did they, Dr. Daquisha talked about people who possibly have lost insurance. So what does that look like? So yes, there's clearly the physical impact of that, but goes as your mind is, so goes your body. And so I think I would encourage all of the listeners and viewers tonight to make sure we are a panel of Black beautiful women, and I think we care for our Black and Brown community. So I think we need to remind folks that it is okay to go and see someone. It is okay to get a counselor. It is okay to, as the old song says that we used to sing out in the church, I think, reach out and touch somebody's hand. Let's make this world a better place if you can. So even if it's just a matter of, talking to a friend or someone that might be able to give you a listening ear so you're not on that edge. So I think that's just another piece in addition to the physical piece and the vaccines. And I know we're going to have several other conversations, but I definitely would like Dr. K to just remind us quickly about what's happening with, vaccines, making sure we're patient. I know I was on a panel, Dr. K, with Dr. Judith Absalon, Abslon, and she actually is an African-American physician who has not yet received the same notoriety as Dr. Kizzy Corbett who has done Moderna. Dr. Absalon has worked for years, I think about 20 years, if I'm not mistaken. Don't hold me to it, but it's way before the pandemic, at least 10 minimum at Pfizer. And she too was one of the lead physicians managing and dealing with the studies, and she was in the study as well. So it's just important for people to know and remind folks again, whether you decide to register and take the vaccine, that there were Black individuals who are ensuring that it is safe. Yes, the jury is still out as it relates to if you need a booster shot, all those things, because we're still studying it. When the vaccines came, and I think, and I will now be quiet so Dr. K can answer this, but we're just now coming up on a year. So for those studies that had begun this time last year, now we're at that pivotal year mark. And I'll pass the baton to my sister, Dr. K, so she can talk about, once you have a study, what does it look like when those results are now coming in?
Yes, so we're 1 year out and 3 vaccines in. And I just quickly just want to say that we have to dispel the myth with the Johnson & Johnson vaccine in the Black and Brown communities. So many people are saying that they don't want to get it because of the powder issue. And Johnson & Johnson is just the parent company. Janssen Pharmaceuticals is actually the company that created the vaccine. So, it's all about the education. They're talking about it's not as effective as the mRNA vaccines. The Johnson & Johnson vaccine is not an mRNA vaccine. It uses a viral vector. And with that method of vaccine creation, you're not going to have 95 or even over 90% efficacy. And that's what people have to understand. The flu vaccine is about 40 to 60% effective. And it's very similar to the, I'm starting to call it the Janssen vaccine. And so when you can't compare apples to oranges. So we cannot compare the Janssen vaccine to Moderna or Pfizer, because they were developed in a completely different way. And so, but some of the good things about the Janssen vaccine is this one dose, you're one and done. You're one and done. A lot of minority communities can actually get the Janssen vaccine and store it because it doesn't have the ultra cold requirements that the mRNA vaccines have. So they're not sending a less effective vaccine to communities of color. So I definitely want to put that out there. The Janssen clinical trials were actually done in South Africa, Brazil, and the US. So guess what? The Janssen vaccine actually has more effectiveness against the South African variant and the Brazilian variant of COVID. And people have to understand that. And because it was developed later, so some of those variants that are now popping up, it will be effective. So just wanted to put that out there. We're at a point now where the CDC on Monday, sorry, my days kind of run together, guys, sorry. Said that families, if you are fully vaccinated, if you're 2 weeks post your final vaccination, your second dose, if you're doing the mRNA, or if you've been able to get the Janssen vaccine, which it's almost scares people, because guess what? A lot of providers are saying that they don't want to get the 2-dose vaccines because of the scheduling issues, and they prefer the Janssen vaccine. So that's something to keep in mind too. So if you're 2 weeks post being fully vaccinated, you are able to congregate or meet with one household, one. And people, when the CDC said that, people are like planning Easter. They're doing all kinds of stuff. Y'all, one household, y'all can be maskless and not social distance with one other household. One.
It's not good.
And I was.
Say that number again. Was it 1 or 5?
Right. Okay. So people are confused because they're like, well, if I can not wear a mask, with my family, because and y'all know Black culture. We Black, we just gonna put out there, Black culture, family, a one household family in the Black community, does that exist? Because y'all know.
Yeah.
They're gonna be coming from all around saying, okay, it's Easter. This is our family. They don't, a household is a family in the Black community. So y'all, please hear me. One household. So all the people have to live in that household. When you go, and I know y'all people are already planning for Easter and everything else. So just keep that in mind. If someone in that household is high risk, and that's another thing that kind of threw me off, because I'm like, how would someone know that someone is high risk? Because again, and we've talked about this before, Midi, how Black people, we don't talk about our situations. A lot of times it's when mama's sick or grandma's sick or something, and you're at the hospital and they were like, well, what medications are is she on? And they're like, oh, she don't take any meds. And they were like, well, no, it says here her chart, da da da. And they haven't disclosed that to family. So make sure if nothing else, you're having those conversations. If you are high risk and you know it, then say, okay, y'all can come over here, but you're still gonna have to wear a mask. We can't have a maskless gathering. And it's still small. So this is not like a 50, 100 person barbecue, y'all. Okay? Small gathering, small. And so I always say, like, in our communities, like the CDC, they put that out there, and then they put the stipulations at the end, and people don't read. After they read what they want to hear and read, they don't go any further. So definitely have to take that into consideration. So that's my little spiel. I know people, if like, put in the comments, let us know if you have questions about these new regulations. If you are vaccinated, and you go out in public, you still have to wear a mask, you still have to social distance, and you still have to wash your hands frequently. So whatever you did before vaccinating, you do after vaccinating when it comes to the public. So it's just that one little caveat. So ask questions. That's what we're here for. We have a wealth of knowledge here tonight. So
okay, and we also have a question from one of our viewers on Facebook. The viewer said, during this past year, did the pandemic challenge your relationship with your significant other? So who wants to answer that? Miss Santa.
So as my husband walks by and winks, what I will say was definitely a strain, because we also have a teenager who just started high school. And so some of those responsibilities kind of shifted. And I think anxieties were significantly increased due to my going into this into the front lines, right? So early on, particularly early on, when we were still figuring out, like, oh my God, if you just look at somebody, everybody felt that they were going to get COVID, right? And so everybody was very much sequestered and afraid and nervous, and spraying down your newspaper, spraying down your mail, etc. So I would say, if anything, it was definitely a little stressful, but it was stress as it relates to worry. And so, and then my level of making sure that I myself kind of checked as much as I can my own anxieties and fears and trepidations from the work environment when I walked up, the steps to my house. And then I literally stripped to my underwear at the door, putting my clothes in a bag and then throwing it downstairs, and then having my husband wash my scrubs every single night for the first at least for the first 14, 15 weeks when I was working every single day. So as it relates to, and I don't mean intimacy meaning sex, I'm speaking intimacy meaning like a husband, wife, like how are you checking in? If anything, quite frankly, I think about us a little bit closer together, because he was definitely concerned, but it was strained because then you had to do everything, when are you coming home? My son, because he wasn't a kid, like a baby rather, but being an only child and a teenager in the house with, his old parent, not old, but, older parents. So he's not with his friends. He doesn't have any other siblings. And so trying to manage what does that look like for him and give him some sense of normalcy, go outside, at least get some sunlight on your skin, if nothing else. And so that was definitely stressful, but it definitely had increased anxiety. And then I got COVID, as Jackie and Dr. K were aware, and we did a show while I was in quarantine. That's when the stress came, because then my husband was really kind of like, okay, you're not going back to work on Monday, are you? You know what I mean? Like, okay, so what's next? Are you okay? And many of us know that people are okay. And then I'm sure you can speak to this, Dr. DeQuisha. And then later on, hospitalizations, came about. So as Dr. Kenyatta was sharing, I am very healthy. I actually was training for the Chicago Marathon last year when COVID happened. So lost my sense of smell, taste, etc. Had high blood pressure, dealing with that still. But because I did have some sense of a good level of health and wellness, and I think there's a differentiation between the two, my wellness and fitness rather, was at a point where I was able to not succumb to any severe disease processes because of COVID. But that's what I would say. So long answer, but no, the relationship, kind of fortified itself, but it was definitely stress and anxiety to make sure mom was okay, to make sure my wife is okay, and she's not going to end up on a ventilator. Because when you see that narrative on CNN, MSNBC, Fox News 24/7, you can't help but to be worried.
Yeah. So did anyone have any issues with their significant other? Everybody got closer.
I don't. So for me in the dating, it became non-existent. I'll just say that because I'm not married. I am single, and so I was, talking and seeing people. But then when it got to let's meet or hang out, I'm just like, oh no,
Nope.
what happened? So wait a minute, let me. I won't. Okay. So yeah. So I was like, I'm about to say just in case someone sees that or. So yeah, so no, that didn't happen. So I'm single. I'll say it like that because I almost got myself in trouble. But okay.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about. We're gonna switch it from the pandemic, but we're still gonna talk about the pandemic. During the pandemic, what was your me time? What did you do for yourself? So let's start with Tammy.
I was, of course, all over. I was looking at LinkedIn, and this is the main topic 1 year later, and the different things that that you might have done during that time. So I was telling my sister, I said, I said that was my time for me to learn a different language or do something else. But it's like I really felt like I started another job, so I was so focused on that job. That's basically all I was doing. I did not do anything new. We worked from home. You find yourself just sitting in the house and not going out and doing anything. I can't really say there was a major change in my life. Just the fact that I had to just work from home. That's about it. And then I was thrown into the job that I was trying to be more proficient at, more or less, because I had to deal with other people and their personalities and stuff. So that was my main focus. But yeah.
Okay. All right. What about you, Cassandra? What's your me time?
Well, I don't get very much of that being in ministry. I pretty much spent the entire year trying to keep other people stable. That's a part of what ministry does, and as a counselor. So it was always on the phone saying, hey, it's going to be okay. What are you doing? I was constantly trying to take care of other people because that's what I do. That's who I am. So I didn't get a lot of time for myself. Well, I didn't get to work because, I'm an actress. So I didn't get to work as much as I normally do. But since we started back working, I have been working consistently on TV shows and movies. So it's been really good. It's been really good. But yeah, I spent most of my time doing the series part. Well, we're still in the series part, but most of the year I spent time ministering to other people. That's pretty much what I did.
Okay. Miss Taylor? Naisha?
Hello, ladies. Well, within the last year, I've basically just been building brands and releasing books and just starting my nonprofit within that this last year. Just took time to get those off the how I want to say it, get those jump started so they can be ready for this year. It's pretty much what I've been doing. And of course, being able to spend more time with my children since they had been out of school for a while.
Okay, and Cinta, what is your what do you consider your me time? What do you do? You're muted. You're still muted. Okay, there you go.
Okay, yeah, it kept clicking and clicking. My me time. I have a lot of me time. I mean, yeah, I have a lot of me, but no, I have a lot of me time, which is great. I have to find more time trying to fill my time. So volunteering, helping, going, I've been helping my sister out now and chatting with my girlfriends on the phone when I know they should be at work and stuff like that. I think what I'm very happy about is my family. We've always been so close anyway. Like the time that I spent with my husband and my kids, that this didn't cause an issue with us. You know, we were always together all the time anyway. So I didn't get sick of looking at them. I didn't say, when is this going to be over so y'all can get away from me? Because we're always together anyway. So, you know, it was really good. I got to figure out what they were doing, look more into their schooling and stuff like that, see that they, you know, kind of, the teachers let them get past a lot of stuff. I never noticed that till now. I'd be like, really? Mom, you don't have to do, yes, you do have to do it. It says you're supposed to be doing it. And they had, so all that time in class, they were getting away with that, but not when they were sitting at home for those months trying to get it done. So my me time was, I guess, catching up on my family. How about that?
Okay. Well, my me time was just that. It was my me time. It was something that was going to relax me, something that I enjoy doing, which is I play on my iPad. I'll play Scrabble. I will play 3-card solitaire. Just something for me. I just try to put everything to the side, you know, all the working, all the business. I put all that to the side and I'll take time for me. And sometimes I feel myself really needing that. You know, people need a drink. I really need to play Scrabble on my iPad. I really need to play 3-card solitaire. And it just does something for me. And I'll do it for a little while and then I'll stop and I'll get back to what it is I'm doing, you know. And then sometimes I just want to just go in my room and just listen to music and just relax a little bit. But, you know, but you always need to take time out for yourself, not around the kids, not around the spouses, just time for yourself, just to reevaluate everything that's going on in your life. You know, that's my me time. So, Dr. Shevers, what do you have for me time? Because I know you work a lot.
Yeah. So, you know, I found myself, you know, once again during this pandemic, and my family's been here. My parents had stayed with me during the pandemic. That was a big decision I had to make. My daughter did the virtual school the first half of the year, so I became a virtual teacher as well. So now I'm a mom and doctor and teacher. So it was challenging. So I had to find an outlet. I had to, you know, release some things, my own insecurities, and become all these different role models. And so what I found that helped me was to focus on my inner self again. And I wrote a book, and it's called Releasing, Manifesting All of Me. And I found that this book was necessary, not just for my own well-being, but for like the patients that I had come in contact with. You know, this pandemic has been very challenging, and people were, like we talked about, you know, with the mental illness and depression and anxiety and losing jobs or changing a career or working from home or trying to figure out how to work from home when you have children there. So I wanted to be able to inspire everybody to kind of have this releasing spree in their life, to get to their next better, and to kind of have another chance to kind of be reborn in 2021 and experience the thrill of releasing. So I focused more on my own kind of heart desires and wrote my second book.
Sounds good. The second book. Okay, good job. Okay, let's talk about women empowerment. Nisha, that's a question you had sent in. You wanted to talk about, Nisha, about women's empowerment. You know, so what is women's empowerment to you? Do you see that as something that we do for each other? We, you know, uplift each other all the time, you know, as Black women?
Well, it's funny you asked that question because right before we came on, I asked my board members of my nonprofit, what does women empowerment mean to them? And of course, they gave their definition, but for me, it means unity. All of us coming together, putting our brains together, coming up with a plan to do this or do that, just making things work together versus apart. We're better together than we are apart. I mean, that's
Right.
how I feel about it.
Right. So Cassandra, what does women empowerment mean to you?
Well, I've had my women's ministry now for about 37 years. I think WOW has been in existence about 37 years. And even in the midst of the pandemic, what I ended up doing was in February, we always have a retreat. Mm-hmm. And it was still sort of iffy, but because of what everyone had been through, I had so many women asking if I was going to do the retreat. Because they needed to come together. They felt like they needed to be together. So I actually took 16 women. I got a house that slept like 26. We masked up and we met for a weekend, and we cried, they cried, we talked, we laughed, and we just built each other up. So for me, coming together, like the other sister said, coming together in unity, even though we had to take all of these super precautions, it was worth it because they all walked away saying, my God, I needed this so badly. So it's about coming together and helping each other to keep moving through whatever you're going through.
Right, right. Dr. K, how about you? What does women empowerment mean to you?
Whew, that's a very, very loaded question, because just being a part of a lot of women focused and women-centered organizations like 100 Black Women and being in a sorority. So women's empowerment to me means just making sure that women are appreciated, supported, highlighted, and just pretty much, what's the word I want to use? Celebrated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's the word, celebrated. Because we do so much in everything, and just making sure that we are acknowledged and celebrated. So that's empowering to me.
Yeah, that's good. And Miss Meady?
So I think there's nothing to different. I think we're going to all probably add on to what our other sisters before us said. And what I would add to that, to add value to the conversation, is simply we all have superpowers, all of us do. And I think women empowerment is acknowledging those superpowers and creating places and curating spaces for those powers to be seen and used to impact the community. For me, specifically as Black women and as a Black woman, I believe that it is support, that it is encouragement. It is, the quintessential fix my crown if you see it a little bit crooked. It is opening up a pathway of opportunity if you have the ability, accessibility, and or a connect to make that happen. And it's also just acknowledging, for me, quite frankly, and I have to say that I know, for me, Black History Month is every month, but for Black women in particular, to think about what our foremothers have gone through. And I know you, Jackie, and Dr. K follow me on Facebook. I just did a post and I said, if you have yourself a tribe of Black women behind you, you can and will accomplish anything. And for those of you ladies who particularly are down there in the state of Georgia, the perfect example of that is a Stacey Abrams, right? The perfect example of that is a Keisha Lance Bottoms. I saw Dr. K, who had to put that little, she said sorority. I was like, okay, whatever. I know. I'm a Delta, so she and I always I have our D9 love. But no, in all seriousness, so even with that, quite frankly, right? And I joked, and thank you, God, for that. Talk about Kamala Harris. Think about the Black women that were behind her to help pave the way. Yes, she was an AKA, but none of us cared. She was a Delta. She was a SG Row. She was all of us, because we were all supporting her getting into the White House and breaking down, quite frankly, Black women don't break down glass ceilings. We have to knock down concrete walls. And so when I think about, not that my own academic trajectory has not been impacted, but when I see a Dr. K who's a young Black woman getting a PhD, when I see a Dr. DeQuisha going through medical school, and knowing that those are predominantly white male career path sometimes, and what they have to go through. And I don't know all your other academics, so I'm not any shade, or not that I know all of you all, but just speaking of these two women in particular, particularly in medicine, because same thing happens to me in nursing. I'm oftentimes asked, am I the tech, or am I, the EBS person? No, I'm the nursing director. So, or when the resident comes, Dr. DeQuisha, and I ask them, hey, this order isn't right. Well, who are you? Well, I've been a nurse for about 15 years. You've been a med student. You were just a medical student 2 weeks ago, and that's not what's supposed to be given to your patient. So why don't you listen to the nurse? So I say all that to say is, yes, I think when you have a tribe of strong Black women that are behind you, you are a force to be reckoned with, regardless of who you are and whatever field that you're in. That to me is women empowerment.
Okay. Ms. Senta. It's still muted. There you go.
I have to take a long version over here. I don't know what's going on here, but anyway. Everybody's answer was great. I know for myself, and of course, Miss Tammy, we were recruiters for the military, and we dealt with a lot of young females trying to change their lives and join the military. We spent a lot of time pumping them up. And a lot of those females that I was dealing with the years ago when I was active, I still text every once in a while. So that's what all my numbers, and I'll shoot them texts. Hi, strong woman, how you doing today? Hi, baby, you still empowered? What are you doing? Did you ever do that? Just tell them, have you, graduated from there? Did you ever, make that dress you wanted to make? Did you try on that? have you completed your diet? And just keep giving them that encouragement that they can get it done. And even when I see my little women running around here, I do the same thing with them, walk through the neighborhood. I compliment them on what they're wearing. Oh, look at your cute little dress. Absolutely beautiful. I cannot wait till you're 16. I'm gonna get invited to that sweet 16. I'm gonna be that one out there going, woo, 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 stuff like that. And they just laugh and everything. But I do think it makes them feel good. And that feeling good, I think, will continue on and on and on, because I don't know what happens when they get home. I don't know what they're told when they get home. Right. And so on and so forth. But I just know that every time I see them, I try to instill that in them. Whether I say, oh, your shoes are great. And I'm gonna tell you, but it's crazy. My grandbaby just left from out of here. I actually learned this from her. We would walk the grocery store, even when she was really little, she would tell everybody, oh, I really like your shoes. Oh, I love that bow you picked with that shirt. Oh, and I used to be like, so be quiet, But then I thought, well, what's so wrong with that? Mm-hmm. Why can't I do that then? Why can't I see somebody else and just say, oh, I really like your decision, what you decided to put those earrings with that shirt. That was a nice, what it was so wrong with that. So I found myself doing it more just to put a smile on somebody's face. Yeah. Just that one day at that one moment, just put a smile on their face. So that's what I told where I go. I want to see you smile. Right. Yeah. See you happy. Yeah. Okay. So let's switch it over and talk about relationships. Okay. I'm going back on mute. You said you're going back on mute. Okay.
Before you make that pivot, I just want to make one comment about the women empowerment, and particularly with Black women. I also think that myth about Black women tearing each other down, I completely disagree with that. I think that 90%, if not higher, of the women that I've had in my life have been nothing but supportive, like nothing but, not haters. Now, if they said something behind my back, I don't know, it didn't impact me. But I look even today, Jackie, you know, with you and Dr. Kenyatta, I've never even met her in person, but she's my friend. That's my girl. So we met during this whole COVID experience, right? And then when I got sick, you know, she and you know, were texting me to check in on me, making sure I was okay. You know, what are you doing with this study you're doing, blah, blah, blah. And I say all that to say is that I do want to be clear that that myth is something that might happen with one or two people, and we need to not buy into that, because I absolutely believe that is not the case. The majority, particularly of Black women, support, love, encourage each other. Now, I'm not talking about, you know, the Real Housewives of whatever. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about real relationships. Most Black women, particularly if you're a grown woman, I'm not talking about 18, 19-year-olds,
Right.
but even some of the millennials, I don't want to give them shade, but you know, we support each other. We love on each other. We encourage each other. And so don't believe the hype, as you know, the rapper says, don't believe the hype. We absolutely love and support each other. And I think each one of us on this panel tonight, you know, our sisters, you know, Tammy and others, Senta in the military, you know, what you all had to go through and the fortitude that you had, you know, Cassandra in ministry, women support each other. So don't believe that. If it is, then you're in the wrong circle. That's all I got to say. And I encourage the watchers and listeners, get yourself some other friends that really have your back. And if you just have one or two, you're blessed.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah. So, okay, let's go to talk about relationships. Do you guys know what the love languages are?
Yes.
Since it's
I know.
Afro.
Yeah.
We're talking about agape and filio.
Like gifts,
No.
gifts, giving
Bible.
gifts.
Okay. Look, I went straight to the Bible.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
words of affirmation is the one
Yeah.
that
Right.
yeah, it's like
Quality time, arts
Yeah.
of service.
That's
acts of
mine. Quality time.
service. Okay, Tammy, what's your love language?
Quality time. I just feel like you cannot build something if you don't have that quality time with each other. That's important to me. So, and in fact, we talked about that when you did the love series, you know, and I just can't see somebody just texting. I have to hear your voice, you know, or exactly, or you need to make some time to come over here and spend with me. So quality time is very important. If I see somebody cannot give me that, then I know it won't go that far.
Yeah, yeah. So what about you, Miss Cassandra?
I was hoping you would skip me with this one. Well, for someone that hasn't been on a date in 21 years, yeah, quality time. And I'm bad at that because for some reason I don't make the time to have a relationship. And every year I say I'm going to go on a date. So now I'm at year 21 and I'm going to go on a date this year. I am.
That's so,
I'm the wrong person to ask.
Roger, get yourself together, girl.
Look, I don't know. I can't even go on a date. I can't even go on a date.
we need to do a show where we have her some suitors.
Thank you. See, you my girl. That's what I'm talking. Listen,
We're gonna do questionnaires and we're gonna help.
Yes. I would love that because I love relationship. I really do. And it's something that I want. And I just don't take the time to do it. And then my friends, my male friends that I do have, because I'm on a panel of a group of men, they said, do you realize how intimidating you are to men? I'm like, what are you talking? And they said, it's like, they're afraid of you almost because you're so bold about what you believe in and blah, 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 blah. And I always say, no cookies. Nobody's getting any cookies. No cookies. That may kill it for me right there, guys. Maybe I'm a hopeless cause. They're not getting cookies. Yeah, no cookies.
No cookies. That's right.
But, listen to what Cassandra had to say. I do not like it when men say, a woman is intimidating.
Yeah.
So that she knows how to stand up for herself. You know,
Yeah,
I was just having
right.
a conversation today, you know, being, divorced and, you know, raising my children as a single mother. You can't come in here halfway. You know, I'm so used to taking care of myself. So I may run over you because you don't move fast enough for me. So
Okay.
so like, you know, I don't know, but I just don't like that comment,
Yeah.
you're intimidating, you're just too
Yeah.
strong. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
You want a weak woman. That's all that is.
Right, right.
I used to get that a lot too. Them would say I was intimidating because I was a police officer. I was in law enforcement. I could that, but it's not about us being intimidating. It's about, we know what we want. We're strong women.
Yes.
Don't
Yes.
say that intimidating. Just don't think that because you feel that way about us that we're not going to want to be with you. You never
That's
know.
right.
You never know. You got to give it a chance. You got to go after what you want. If you see something or somebody you want, then go after it and see what happens.
Yeah.
It don't work out about you too intimidating. No,
Yeah.
you can say that you're kind of weak.
Pretty much.
Yeah. So, Dr. Shavers, what do you think?
Quality time for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyone different than quality time? Anyone? Another one? Nisha?
Well, I'm kind of in between quality time and affirmations. Quality time, I do like spending time with my husband. However, words of affirmation, that's one of my things also, is like keeping me uplifted or pushing me when I want to give up, that encouraging word, or me just being the encourager. So I'm kind of like in between both of them.
Okay. And so what about you? You're on mute.
I'm having.
You put yourself back on mute.
Can you hear me now?
Slowly.
Something wrong with her signal, Jackie.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. But you're not moving. But yeah.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, just go ahead and talk and see what happens.
He's back on mute.
You're back on mute again.
Yeah, it's popping up. My little square is popping up and it's freezing. And see, I've got to click on it, and that's what's popping me on and off on mute. It's a little. Okay. So.
What's your love language?
Believe it or not, mine is, for me, it's listening. What I really like and what I really admire about my husband was my husband knew that I like Pepsi and not Coke. I'm serious. You may, think it's weird. And he's really good at that. He goes out and he brings in what he hears me saying. Oh, just like my wedding ring. And I'm going to shorten this story a lot. He heard me talking to some girls in our office when we were both recruiters about the kind of ring I would want for my husband to bring to me. And I didn't know he was listening to that nonsense. Well, one of the girls came in all excited talking about, he asked me to marry him and showed me her wedding ring. And I said, and you said yes? I would have threw that thing back at him. I did. And I go, the size of the ring is the size of the heart. And I probably shouldn't have done that. But I did. And she felt so bad. And I said, well, girl, go ahead. You're young. Just tell him 3 years, 3 carat, so on and so forth. Just do that. And laughed and left it. But I didn't know he was listening to it. So when he did come and ask me to marry him, he says, is it the size of your heart? And I was like, what? And I said, well, he said, I heard you in there talking. Is it the size of your heart? And I'm like, I would have took any kind, no difference. That's it. Just the whole thing is, so when you listen to me and you hear what it is that I care about, Kit Kats, and I prefer you know, Pepsi over Coke and stuff like that. Oh, I like
Right.
funny movie. I don't do any horror movies. If I see you gearing toward those things, then that means you honestly care about what I care about.
Right.
Yeah. Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Okay, so Meaty, we know you have to leave because you have another engagement and all. So do you want to make a last comment before you leave?
Sure. I honestly, don't laugh at me, ladies, but I am a touchy-feely person. I'm a hugger. So, just kind of a rub on the shoulder. Even honestly, I don't think this is weird, but even like professional, like, hey, good job. As a nurse, I touch my patient's hand. I believe in the power of touch. I feel like touch transfers energy. And so for me, it's physical touch. And that's what I mean, not necessarily, not just a sexual contact, but just a physical touch, I think is so important. It makes you feel connected. And I would have to say acts of service. To your point, Senta, if you heard me say, oh my God, I really wish I had a smoothie. So I don't mean like you're going to do something for me, but you heard me mentioned in a conversation. And then later on today, oh, here's your smoothie. Or hey, I can't wait to go get some cheddar biscuits from, oh my God, what's the restaurant, you guys?
Red
Red
Lobster.
Lobster.
Red
Thank you. Oh my God, I want some cheddar biscuits. And so I remember the other day we got carry out from Red Lobster because I wanted some cheddar biscuits, which was completely against this new diet that I'm on. So for me, it's like those small little acts of service and physical touch means a lot to me.
Okay. Great. Okay, well, Meaty, thank you so much for being with us, and we're going to see you next time when we do our update again on your on the coronavirus and the vaccine. Okay.
Jackie, thank you so much for allowing me to be on your point of view, sharing my point of view. Ladies, have an amazing day. Much love to you guys.
Bye.
Goodbye. Okay, now we're going to continue on. You know how we have your deal breakers in relationships, or you have your what you will not negotiate about? Is there ever a time where you will reevaluate and will renegotiate what your deal breakers were? Is that ever something that you will do in a relationship? Dr. Shevers?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's very important to always kind of reevaluate and never put something in stone, so to speak, because you'll never know what that may look like if you're just totally closed off to it. I mean, you have to have an open mind to be able to embrace new things and experience new joys in your life. And you don't know what that might be if you're just so closed-minded.
Right. Okay. Tammy, what do you think?
Yeah, I feel the way she does. 'Cause I seem like I reevaluate all the time. Seriously. Sometimes I wish I was a bit harder, but I may get to a point, I may block you and everything else, then I'll block you. But she does have a point. I think about we all make mistakes. Nobody's perfect, and I know, I mean, we definitely don't have the heart of God, but regardless, I still say sometimes people are entitled to a second chance. But if you continue on, then no. Then you show me you don't respect me. So, but yeah, the second time around, yeah, that'll be fine.
Okay. And Dr. K?
Hey, you were covering me. I was like, oh, I hope no one else sees this, but yeah, it's.
You used to talking everything medical on the show.
Yeah.
Now it's different things.
Yeah, because people be clocking me, so I have to speak tactfully. So my non-negotiable is actually lying. Like once I've caught you, it's just I can't get past it. Mm-hmm. However, and that's like we're done, but I don't hold on to that kind of stuff. So if they recycle themselves some months later, I've probably forgotten. Mm-hmm. But I will say that a liar is going to be a liar. Right. So it's just after they're a repeat offender, you only get one other chance. So I don't hold on to repeat offenders. So I will.
Okay. Senta? Is she frozen again? Okay, let's go ahead and move to Naisha.
Tamla took the
Okay.
exact words out of my mouth with
I was here.
Oh, you can go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, go
You're into your throat.
ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Like I said, I agree with Dr. K and Tamara about that. I'll let you, if you do something, it really all depends on what it is. If it's not something horrific, but if you did something, you slipped up, you lied, you did whatever, then yeah, I'm willing to give you a second chance. It depends on how your apology is, how you come at me, and you're real. Just be real. I say okay, you know. But you that second and third, that fourth time, we're done. I'm out. You know,
You're all the way
I
up
can't,
to 4?
I can't keep.
You got up to
Hmm?
5 times?
No, I'm just saying the third time I'm out. Most of the time, if they did it the third time, they're gonna do it a fourth and fifth time.
Yeah.
So then I'm out.
Easy. Yeah, it gets easy. Okay.
I'm done.
So Naisha?
Because I believe in second chances, it's kind of hard for me not to give people a second chance. Cynthia said it, she just said exactly what she said made me think about certain people and certain situations that I've been in or have dealt with, where I would keep doing and keep doing and keep allowing them to do things to me that I don't like. And I'll say, I'm gonna cut you off, I'm done. And then a few weeks later, a few months later, I'm back helping you or I'm back accepting. I guess it's with certain people, it's hard for me to not give a second chance. And with certain people, I'm just like, that's a wrap.
Yeah.
That's something I'm still working on. So
Yeah.
I think we need to weigh in on how hurt are we behind what they did.
Yeah.
right.
I mean, just how much did you pass it? I got hurt by a guy one time, and I'm telling you, I thought I was never gonna get past it.
Yeah.
Never. That's why I said, this is it. You can never do this to me again because it hurt me. And so your friends or whoever it is, if they come and doing things to you, if you easily get over it, then okay, you say you can deal with it. But if it's something where you have to crawl yourself up out of it, where you have to go before your pastor, you have to go lay on mommy's bed for a little while, then you got to cut that person off because they have robbed you of your happiness. And that's just, no, you can't go through that over and over again.
Yeah.
It's just hard when it's like when it's people that's really close to you and you want to cut them off, but you can't. I don't know. Just say a prayer. Say a prayer.
So what do you think, Cassandra? What do you think?
Well, you know that my organization deals with domestic violence, right? So yeah, forgiving is one thing, but toxic is a whole nother thing. And some people are just toxic. And women, we have a way of forgiving over and over and over again. I have no problem with that. But we need to learn when enough is enough and move on. If someone is toxic time and time again, you have to evaluate your value to them. Because if they're damaging you over and over again, something is wrong, and you're gonna have to be strong enough to say, okay, no, bro, we ain't going through that, or whoever, even if it's a friend that is toxic and you have to keep going through this thing over and over again with them, it's about time to cut somebody off. It's just wisdom. You have to take care of yourself and you have to protect yourself.
Well, what if you don't see the red flags, or you have blinders on?
I was getting ready to say, you see the flags, you just don't want to acknowledge the flags. And that's why the average woman will stay in an abusive relationship and will walk away 6 or 7 times before she finally, if he don't kill her or maim her during the process, before she says enough is enough. So, and that's just, it's sad to me. And I did it. I'm a conqueror of domestic violence. I did it. And I know, and the domestic violence is not always about hitting. I've said this before. It can be emotional, sexual. It's a whole bunch of stuff, financial, that covers abuse.
Right. So Dr. Shevers, what do you think about that? I mean, I'm sure you have a lot of patients and they come in to the office and you might see, something of that nature. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I agree with what she's saying. It's a mindset. It's a training of the mind where, you can't, it takes a lot more for people to, it's not just about you saying, get out of the relationship or why don't you leave? It's so much
Yeah.
deeper.
Yeah.
People are just so afraid to be forthcoming but when they do, it's your opportunity to seize the moment with that person and to get them the help. You can't just let them go and say, okay, I told her what to do. She's not going to do it. So, you got to take the opportunity to really teach and educate and give resources and hold them there and say,
Yes.
this is what's going to happen next. And take charge,
Yes.
guide them, because otherwise it's like in one ear and out the other. So you really educate and tell somebody what's going on and be supportive and then get them the help they need.
Yes. Mhm.
So Tammy, you're in the military, you're active military right now. Do you see anything like that?
I'm retired.
Okay, you're retired. You're retired. But did
You know
see
what?
anything when you were in the military and recruiting?
I really did not. No. And I don't know if it's because the people I was around, the reason why I did not see it, because we know a whole lot of things happen being in the military. But I guess it's just my circle. And really, I hate to say this, but I'm more like a loner. Okay, so I don't really. Once I do my job, I go. But as far as when it comes to recruiting, well, I will say this. There was a young lady, but she was trying to get into the Navy, and one of the recruiters mistreated her. So I asked her what does she want to do, but she didn't want to go any further with it. I guess she just needs to talk about it. But the one thing I hate is when is sometimes when you see something that's going to happen, but you go ahead and continue to put yourself in it, more or less. So I just wish she had not have went to the person's house. But sometimes when you're young, you don't think much of it. But me being older, I knew that was the wrong thing to do. So, and because the person was so nice, but it was nothing abusive or anything, but it's just the fact that he probably just did some inappropriate stuff that she was not expecting to happen. Okay. So, but yes, but as far as just in my circle, more or less, I did not see anything. So,
okay. All right, no problem. Well, we're gonna move right along to our last topic. Let's talk about your bucket list. Do you guys have a bucket list? And if so, what's one of the main things on it that you want to try to accomplish? Let's start with Dr. K. I see your eyes going up like, okay, I'm thinking, do I have a bucket list?
No, I mean, honestly, I don't really have a bucket list because I believe in doing things now because tomorrow's not promised now. I'm not out here doing crazy stuff. No. Most people are saying they want to travel. So I've actually traveled the world as a part of my work. And I had the opportunities to do that from like a personal level as well. I don't believe in like, like the story of saving things for later and then when you can't enjoy it later. So I'm, as a woman in her mid 40s, it's just not anything that I aspired to wait to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Dr. Shevers, what about you? Do you have a bucket list?
I probably used to have a big bucket list. But as I got older, my bucket list things changed. And so things got shifted down and things got moved back up. And so family became a priority and being with my family and traveling. Spent most of my career, as a student, my career, my life as a student. So, I still love traveling. And so, I could put a whole bucket list of travel things together. But as far as other real critical things, I think it's what you make it in the now. And so my bucket list will be something new every day or new every week that I want to do or experience, or a new a new fetish or a new goal, or, you know, I just keep, it's in the evolution of what and who I am. And I think it's how it should be for everybody, that we should just kind of continuously release things every day to better ourselves, and not just better ourselves, but to feel good. So, you know, you're healthier when you're happier. So you just got to keep on doing those things. And I felt like the bucket list idea was great, but it also can hold people back. And so people will say, well, I'll wait till that happens, or I'll wait till this happens to do this bucket list thing. They're going to wait for certain things to come into a certain order, and there's no order. And so I think the bucket list is good, but I think you should also live in the now and do things on the whims, so to speak. And that way you're just not limited to a list.
Right. Okay, that sounds good. Naisha?
Well, it's not really a bucket list because I'm pretty much doing everything that I've been wanting to do. But the one thing I have not done, and I'm kind of iffy on even doing that, is I'm afraid of heights. So I want to do something that is going to take that fear away. Maybe like jump out of a plane or something. I don't know.
Why would you good plane?
I don't know. Because I've like water slides, that doesn't do it for me. Ferris wheels doesn't do it for me. I need something that's much higher than that to overcome this fear. I don't know.
Hey.
But I do want to jump out of a plane with the parachute thing just one day, not today. But
Okay. Okay, Santa, what about you? What's on the bucket list?
Well, my thing when all pandemics happen, places to eat. Because you know how we go to the same places. We always go to that same restaurant. We eat at that same place all the time. I started saying, no, I want to go down. If I look over there and say, I've never seen that place before, I wonder what that's like. I'm pulling in a trial. One thing you're going to do is say, okay, won't eat there anymore, you know. And that's it. Or you might say, oh, that's good. I'll try that, you know, again another time. So I had said since we moved back to Georgia, I want to go around different parts of Georgia and just eat places.
You like food?
you know, since I've actually started to do that since the pandemic. And one restaurant I did that is actually right down the street from my home. I ordered from there, and it was so good. I kept ordering, and they messed up my order one time, and I said, forget that. I'm not going back there. Stick to my regulars.
Yeah. So what about you, Cassandra?
Yeah, well, it's not a bucket list, but it is something that is a part of my vision, and I'm going to hopefully fulfill it in the next few months, to have my TV show completed and on air, and everything is moving toward that. So hopefully in April we'll start back shooting, and by June we'll have it on air.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm excited.
Good. Okay, Miss Amy.
Learning to play the piano.
Oh,
I downloaded this app. I think it's called Simply Piano, and they was teaching me the note. I was excited learning how to read notes. Okay, so so they have a little I guess a little piano on the iPad, more or less, on the app, so that you can play with it. But it only lets you go so far as learning. So now I had to get me either a little small piano or a keyboard in order to continue on with my lessons. But I say by the end of the year, I'm going to be good. So that's what I'm going to learn how to do.
That's great.
That's good. Good. So Miss Cynthia, did you talk about your bucket list?
Eating.
Hey, that's right. Well, we do that.
That sounds like Jackie's favorite, eating.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, just like you were saying, you know, Dr. K talked about this. You know, we don't know what tomorrow brings.
Right.
So that's why every single day we get up first, we got to be excited about God gave us today. We walk out that front door with our excitement, and we just do what we need to do to enjoy that day.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And that's it. So if I say, now my girlfriend, she said the other day, she was like, just go to, what she told me? She said, we can go somewhere like North Dakota for the weekend if you want to. And I'm like, okay, you know, never been. That should be fun. So we're going to fly off and go to North Dakota.
Mhm.
Right.
Why not? So just do it.
Just do it.
I think it's great that I'm young, I'm retired. I don't have to. I got good straight A student kids, so I can leave them with somebody and I know they'll be okay.
That's good. That's good. That's good. Well, my bucket list, I don't have one either. I don't have one either. I like doing a variety of things when they pop up. You know, on a plan. You know, like everyone said, you're not promised tomorrow. So as far as trying to plan for, you know, what we might do, like in, you know, way down the line, a year or two from now. No, we don't know that we'll be here for that. You know, I wanna do it right now. If there's something I want to do, I want to do it. You know, I want to go out and have lunch with my girls. I'm calling Cinta and telling them, let's go. We're going. We want to go to the casino. Calling somebody, let's go. You know, just do it right there. So, you know, I think that's good. A bucket list is it. That's all. Yeah, that's all. So, Dr. Shapers, give us a takeaway of the show tonight. What do you think?
I think the show was phenomenal. I think we had a lot of great topics, conversation. We touched on everything from COVID to our love languages to inspiring each other, empowerment. I think those of the viewers who are watching were blessed today to tune in and to see all of our different environments and see what each of us is doing to help each other and to encourage each other and to fix our crowns. And I want us to keep on releasing all of that in 2021.
Sounds good. And Dr. K, what about you? What's your takeaway?
Yeah, I just feel like we all have diverse experiences and we're at different phases and stages in life, and just to be able to share collectively and everybody respect everybody's opinion and have something to add. I think that it's important as we move forward, because there are so many people who are just looking for someone to identify with,
Right.
not be, but just identify with. And it's important for them to see Black women expressing themselves and just being able to share their point of view without judgment and you know, and just with support. So I enjoyed tonight.
Sounds good. And Miss Cassandra?
First, let me say that Dr. K, I want you to show me your driver's license, because you were talking about whatever your age is, and I'm like, I'm thinking you 22.
Right, me too.
I'm like, she's a new medical, she just got out of medical school, 22 years old, 24, whatever it is. But
I'm 45.
yeah.
45, so
You look amazing.
You.
God bless you. You look amazing. But yeah, I just enjoyed it. The diversity has been amazing. I will be 62 next month. I'm so excited about what is holding this next year is holding for women, and how all of us are being. I use the term living my life like it's golden. I love that song, you know, and I pray that every woman on here is living their life like it's golden, and it sounds like we are in all our prospective places.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yes. And Miss Tammy, we're going to end with you. So what's your takeaway?
You know, I always like these kinds of forums, more or less, when we all come together. And just like Dr. Kenyatta was saying, and Cassandra, you know, it's diverse. You know, everybody had their own opinion about everything. I walk away from here and I learn every time I come on one of your shows, and that's what I enjoy about it. And then women coming together, like I said, this is women empowerment right here. So I really enjoyed it. Thank you, Jackie, for inviting me.
Oh, not a problem, not a problem. And we're gonna go ahead and end it with Miss Naisha, because I interviewed you with your book and the 2 men in your life. No.
Oh, it's
But
one.
it's awesome. So, I'm looking forward to the second book.
Did you say 2 men?
Right.
Okay, well, let's clear that up. Okay, so the book is
Another show, yeah.
well, my book is the reason she said 2 men, because it was with my deceased husband and my now husband. That's why, but it's just one now. So
But they were in her life at the same time.
Dr. DeQuisha, no, we actually did a project together, so I can't wait for that to come out. But my takeaway from this, I think I'm the youngest one here, and I just want to say I feel honored to be on this panel, I would say, with all of you strong Black women, successful women. I'm honored to be able to share my opinion on this live, and I hope the people that are watching were able to take away from the things that were given. My other takeaway was I'm gonna go ahead and go to the doctor to get my yearly checkups, because I was like, you know what, I'm gonna stay my butt at home. I'm not going to no doctor, but y'all put the pressure on me, so I'm gonna go to the doctor. I'm fine, thank God, but it's best to get that yearly checkup, so I'm gonna go ahead and do what I need to do.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'm glad we got that, that's the big outcome when you decided you want to go to the doctor. That's the big outcome from the show. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, lady, thank you so very much for being a part of the show this evening. I really love you. And we will see each other again. We're going to be working on some things again. And I just want to say, next week, we're going to have our couples show. We're going to have about 4 or 5 couples. There's going to be Dr. Jerry and Dr. Winter Bobo. They're the relationship specialists. They're going to be with our couples, talking to our couples. So we're going to see how that's going to turn out. So remember, guys, everything you heard and everything we said was our point of view. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.